Famed gator hunter Troy Landry of the show Swamp People has found himself in a little bit of hot water.
Have you ever wondered what really happened to Troy Landry, the man who once ruled the Louisiana swamp like a king, the hunter whose name echoed across the bayou like thunder before a storm? For years we watched him on our screens, fearless, relentless, battling creatures older than time itself. But behind the cameras, behind the fame and the roar of airboats cutting through black water, there is a story few truly know. A story not of triumph, but of a man slowly losing more than he ever gained. This is the untold truth of Troy Landry, a legend who rose with the swamp and paid a price no one could see coming. Long before the world knew his name, Troy was just a boy learning to read the swamp like scripture. Born in a place where cypress shadows stretch like claws over murky water, where storms roll in without warning and nature never forgives a mistake. Children elsewhere learned songs and playground games. Troy learned to move through silence, to feel danger before he could see it. Hearing loss as a child sharpened the senses the rest of us take for granted. A ripple on the water spoke to him. A vibration under the surface warned him. The swamp raised him like one of its own. It tested him, molded him, hardened him, and he loved it because the swamp was not just home, it was identity, purpose, destiny. He married young, built a life not on comfort but on grit and sweat. His wife Sarah held his world steady, anchoring him through storms both real and unseen. Together, they built small businesses, fought for every dollar, and raised children in a world where every day demanded strength. The swamp taught him survival, but family taught him why survival mattered. They had little, but they had honor. They had heritage. They had a kingdom carved from mud and hunger. And then without warning, everything changed. Cameras arrived. The world turned its eyes toward the bayou. And Troy Landry, the quiet king of the swamp, became a global icon. When Swamp People aired in 2010, fame hit like a hurricane. In living rooms across the world, people watched him wrestle beasts with teeth like knives and strength like steel. Shoot 'em became a catchphrase, and suddenly the swamp was no longer a place outsiders feared. It was entertainment. But fame has a price, and it collects its debts slowly, silently. Long filming schedules tore him away from his world. The hunts he once did for survival became a performance for millions. His life, once quiet and rooted in mud and mist, became loud, demanding, relentless. Behind the grin, exhaustion grew. Behind the legend, a man began to crack under the weight of being unstoppable. By 2015, Troy had wealth, property, boats, businesses, but he lost something money cannot buy: peace, privacy, the simple rhythm of swamp life before the world intruded. Every hunt watched, every move judged, every breath measured. The swamp that once gave him freedom now felt like a cage built of attention and expectation. He wanted mornings of still water and silence, not cameras and deadlines. He wanted laughter at his table, not production calls. But legends do not get to choose when the world lets go. Then came grief. In 2021, he lost his mother, the kind of wound that cuts deeper than any gator bite. Still, the cameras rolled. Still, he pushed forward because that's all he knew. But then fate struck harder. In 2022, doctors delivered the one enemy even Troy could not wrestle into submission with strength alone: prostate cancer. Suddenly, the strongest man in the swamp stood under hospital lights instead of cypress trees. Surgery, recovery, fear, fans prayed. His voice stayed steady, but inside, battles raged no one could see. He survived, yes, but part of him never returned. Survival changes a man. It softens edges, sharpens truths, exposes ghosts he thought he had outrun. And then just when he tried to stand again, controversy crashed down. Hunting violations, tags misused, headlines questioned the very code he lived by his whole life. For a man built on honor, that blow cut deep, but the swamp was not finished with him yet. While filming not long after, the crew stumbled upon something ancient and chilling: human bones rising from the mud like secrets refusing to stay buried. The swamp turned into a crime scene. Cameras stopped. The silence that followed was heavier than any storm. For Troy, it was a reminder the swamp never forgets, never sleeps, and never gives without taking back. But the harshest strike did not come from fame, sickness, or scandal. It came from the place that once gave him strength. His grandson, a child thrust into a battle too big for his tiny body. Illness, hospitals, hope hanging by threads. Troy Landry, the man who dragged monsters from black water, could do nothing but sit and pray. Filming paused. public appearances disappeared. The king of the swamp vanished, not because he wanted to, but because the fight moved to a place cameras could never follow. By mid-2025, the world around him had quieted. Businesses slowed, fame flickered, strength faded. He was not broke, but he was broken in ways money could never fix. The swamp had crowned him legend and taken pieces of him one storm at a time. In a rare quiet moment, he admitted what the world never understood. The swamp's been good to me, but she don't give nothing for free. Everything's got a price. And now the king sits not above the swamp, but inside its memories, its secrets, its unrelenting pull. Some say he's finished, retired, done with the cameras forever. Others say he's just catching his breath, waiting, healing, watching the swamp with eyes that see more than they ever did before. In those quiet months away from the noise, something changed. The world expected a broken man. But the swamp does not break what it builds. It tempers. It transforms. Slowly, quietly, strength returned. Not the loud strength of television and adrenaline, the deep strength of a man who has endured storms of flesh, spirit, and legacy. Some mornings, locals swear they see him guiding his boat again, not for fame, not for glory, but for love of the water that raised him. They see him sit silently in the morning fog, the same boy he once was, only older, wiser, scarred, and grateful. They say he touches the surface with his hand like greeting an old friend. They say his voice is softer now, not weakened, softened by truth, shaped by loss, strengthened by silence. He began mentoring younger hunters quietly, away from spotlight, teaching not how to kill, but how to understand the land. He returned to schools to speak to children, not about fame or danger, but about honor, patience, and humility. Teachers say he speaks slowly, every word heavy like driftwood soaked in memory. He laughs differently now, a laugh earned, not performed. Fame taught him noise, life taught him meaning. He knows now that legends are not measured in views or applause, but in endurance, in scars, in the quiet dignity of continuing. And yet, even as life slowed around him, one thing never changed, the bond between Troy and the swamp. Two outsiders, the bayou is mud, moss, and danger. But to him it is memory, breathing earth, a living world that raised him and witnessed every moment of his journey. Some men keep photo albums. Troy keeps the river, the reeds, the silence. Every ripple on the water holds a story. Every fallen log carries the echo of a hunt long past. The swamp remembers him just as surely as he remembers it. People who cross his path today don't see the fierce glare that once challenged monsters. They see eyes that carry storm clouds and sunrise in equal measure. There is a quiet dignity in him now, the kind earned only by men who have lived rich lives, not rich in gold, but in days survived, battles fought, hearts broken and healed. He is a man who learned, painfully, that strength is not only measured by what you can lift, fight, or conquer, but by what you can endure and still rise from. And still rumors drift like cattail seeds in the wind. Some say producers have reached out again, hoping to capture his return. Others whisper that he may surprise the world with a final season, not driven by fame, but by closure. A farewell not of regret, but of gratitude. And some believe the opposite, that he is done, content to spend his remaining years walking trails of mud and memory, far from lights and expectations. Only Troy knows which path he'll take, and the swamp keeps his secret. But here is what is certain, Troy Landry is no fading ember. He is a slow-burning fire, not gone, not forgotten, simply transformed. Legends aren't meant to be loud forever. Some earn the right to whisper. Some deserve peace after a lifetime of proving themselves to a world that never truly understood the price of greatness. And if one day he chooses to rise again, not with the fury of youth, but with the wisdom of survival, the world will welcome him like a king returning home. Fans who grew up watching him wrestle gators will tune in not for action, but for presence, to see the man who showed us what courage looks like when cameras aren't rolling. And if he never returns to screens again, then he has already given us enough. More than enough. He lived a life most only pretend to understand. He took on nature, fame, illness, loss, and time, and walked forward through all of it. The swamp did not break him. The world did not bury him. He stands because that is what men of the bayou do. They endure, long after storms pass and crowds move on. And somewhere right now, as the sun rises over still water and steam lifts like spirits from the river's surface, Troy Landry may be sitting quietly in his boat, looking not for gators but for peace. The paddle rests across his lap, the engine is silent. The world sleeps, and he breathes, slow, steady, alive. In that moment, there are no cameras, no scripts, no headlines. just a man who lived as fiercely as the land that raised him, and who learned in the end that the greatest victory is not in the fight, but in the stillness after it. For legends do not end, they settle, they take root, they become part of the story of a place whispered in wind and water. Troy Landry will forever be that. Not just a hunter, not just a television figure, but a spirit woven into the veins of Louisiana, as timeless as the swamp itself. Because kings are remembered in castles, but swamp kings are remembered in the land, in the mud, in the breath of the alligator, and the howl of the storm. And as long as cypress shadows dance over bayou waters, the name Troy Landry will never truly fade. It will live where it was always meant to, in the heart of the swamp, and in the hearts of those who watched him rise, fall, and rise again.